You want to optimize your health scientifically, so you buy yourself a fitness tracker, whether it's a Fitbit, Apple Watch, Oura Ring, Whoop strap, or another. You like that it measures your pulse and your sleep, but how accurate is it? Can you really rely on it for good information or not? That's exactly what we'll cover in this video. Let's start with a quick story. In 2008, I bought a heart rate monitor. It was excellent. It only had 3 functions. It told you the time and it told you your pulse. That's it. And this is 2008, so there was no GPS, no text messages, no maps, no weather. It only had 3 functions. In those 14 years, I changed the battery twice and it told me my heart rate nearly perfectly with extremely high accuracy. Fast forward to 2022, after 14 years of great service, this heart rate monitor broke and I started having to look for a different heart rate monitor that was equally good. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a single one that was as good as a heart rate monitor from, well, 14 years before that. Modern day heart rate monitors have a lot more functions. They have a GPS, they tell you the weather, you can get text messages, but what's really important about heart rate monitors, the heart rate, has actually gotten a lot worse. It's much less accurate than the heart rate monitors of 15, 20 years ago. Why is that? Because modern day heart rate monitors have almost entirely done away with the chest strap. They all base your pulse on wrist calculations, which are horribly inaccurate. We'll examine this in a few minutes. And so because they've done away with it in favor of more features that you don't really need in a heart rate monitor, you can get the weather text messages on your phone or on your computer. The one thing you really need out of your heart rate monitor is accurate heart rate. And unfortunately, modern day trackers are anything but accurate. Don't just take my word for it, here's some proof. One study compared 3 wrist-worn heart rate monitors to the gold standard. By the way, the gold standard is a Polar H10 chest strap. Again, a chest strap, okay? So they compared an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, and a Polar Vantage. They were decent at telling your pulse at low intensities, but the most accurate of those was off by 5% at high intensities, and that's terrible. If your maximal heart rate is 150, to be 5% off is about 7.5 beats per minute. That is a huge margin. When you're doing low intensities, accuracy becomes less important. When you're doing high intensity, you can't maintain it very long. Accuracy is extremely important at higher intensities. And to be 5% off, and that's the best one they've got, is terrible. Not only was the heart rate ridiculously bad, the calories were also pretty far off. The Apple Watch was off by about 14.68 up to 24.85%. The Fitbit was off by between 13.44 up to 29.66%. And the Polar Vantage watch was off by between 16 and 26%. So calorie trackers, throw them in the garbage. Now let's talk about their function as sleep trackers. You feel good that they're measuring your sleep, but how good are they? Well, garbage. So for reference, the gold standard for sleep tracking is called polysomnography. That's when you go to a sleep lab, they attach electrodes to all over your body and they can measure the different stages of your sleep, brainwaves, etc. While heart rate monitors and fitness trackers try to do that, they do it very badly. Why? Nothing is attached to your brain, to your head. They don't measure brainwaves. They try to correlate your sleep with your pulse. Now there is an okay correlation between the two, but it's not a perfect correlation. As we talked about earlier, they aren't even great at measuring pulse. So even if it was a perfect correlation between pulse and brainwaves, which there isn't, they can't even measure the proxy marker accurately. So how good are these fitness trackers at measuring your sleep? Well, one study showed that the Oura Ring was able to distinguish between awake and asleep with 95% accuracy. But that's a very low bar. You can distinguish without any watches with 100% accuracy. So part of it is just distinguishing awake and asleep. But a much more useful function for it is to estimate which stage of sleep you're in. Are you in light sleep, deep sleep, or REM sleep? And when it comes to that, it was pretty bad. It only had an accuracy of 77 to 79%. Atrocious. The Fitbit and Apple Watch were actually even worse than that. They predicted the sleep stage with an accuracy of between 55 and 78%. The Whoop strap classified sleep stages with about 60% of accuracy. None of them are good. So what should you do if you want accurate heart rate tracking? First of all, throw out your Fitbits, your Apple Watch, your Oura Rings, your Whoop straps. None of them are good at heart rate tracking. The old school method of just measure your pulse manually is actually more accurate than any of that garbage. However, if you want even more accurate than counting for 10 seconds and multiplying by 6, you can get the gold standard, which is the Polar H10 heart rate strap. That's for heart rate tracking. Now, as for sleep tracking, there's no accurate tool out there other than go to a lab and get the test, polysomnography. Furthermore, if you are using it for sleep tracking, here's the great irony. Lots of research has found that people who obsessively track their sleep with these devices paradoxically have worse sleep. They're too obsessed with it, with trying to gamify sleep, but you're getting bad data. It's much better to get no data than bad data. But if you want really good data, it's not practical because you have to go to a lab and you can't do that every night. For good heart rate tracking, use either your own hands or the H10 strap, and for accurate sleep tracking, go to a lab, polysomnography, if you have bad sleep to begin with. If you like this video, I have lots more information just like this in my exercise and nutrition newsletter. It's free. If you click on the other link in the description below, you can sign up for that newsletter complimentary. You can always unsubscribe. Thank you and goodbye.